Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Dear students, Assalamu Alaikum. This is lecture number 18 and the topic of today's lesson is oral presentation introduction. This lecture is the part of our course Communication Skills. Dear students, I am your teacher Muhammad Asif Khan, lecturer, Department of English, Kohat University of Science and Technology. Starting from discussion agenda, now let's see that what is the outline of this lecture. First of all, I will define oral presentation. Then we will look at the main purposes of these presentations, and after that we will study the main types of oral presentation. Another important topic very much related to this discussion is that what is the method of oral reporting, and we will study 4 methods of oral reporting. That will be followed by characteristics of oral presentation. I will also tell you the basic structure of an oral presentation, and then we will look at the benefits of these types of presentations and the traits of effective and good presentation. So that is the whole outline of today's discussion. Now let's move towards the definition of oral presentation. So the first question, that is what is oral presentation? Oral presentation is a process or it is a procedure of expressing or articulating information or different thoughts, designs in the mind, or the ideas or plans and schemes. But the method which we use for expressing these very ideas is by words of mouth. So oral presentation is usually or normally a speech or vocal performance. Occasionally these very speeches and vocal performances are accompanied by visually based presentations such as slideshows. As I am here presenting my ideas orally, but you are also viewing all these details on a slideshow. This very concept is a very important concept in the different fields of the life. We see that some people have natural talent and they have that capability of public speaking. I mean that they have that faculty or ability or that capacity to speak in front of gatherings, in front of community, but most of us work hard to give a good talk. It is not that easy. So it is basically a skill that we have to learn. From this we conclude that an oral presentation is where a person shows his knowledge, his information, his understanding or his comprehension on particular subject or topic. We can see and you might be able to choose your topic in oral presentation. Sometime it is the choice of the presenter that which topic he wants to present, and sometime we see that the topics are given by some authority, and the presenter has to research on that very topic, and then he has to deliver a lecture or a presentation to audience. So that is an oral presentation. Now we come to the question that what are the main purposes of oral presentation. Most commonly or generally there are 3 main purposes that all speeches fall into. We see that the first purpose or first reason that someone present his ideas is to inform the people, and it means that he gives someone facts or information. The person or the presenter, he talks about the facts and information on some topic. The second reason or second purpose to give a presentation, oral presentation, is to persuade the people. In this, we see that the presenter induces someone to do something. We see that basically he is persuading and he is trying to influence or convince the audience, and he argue with them that they should agree upon that very thing about which the presenter is trying to convince them. So basically, the second purpose of oral presentation is to persuade or to induce someone to do something through reasoning or arguments. And the third very purpose of delivering oral presentation is to entertain, and it provides someone with amusement or enjoyment. So these are the three main purposes of oral presentation. Now we will look at the types of oral presentation. Basically, there are six important types of presentation, and we see that knowing these significant and vital types, we can very easily prepare our presentations. So the first type of oral presentation is that presentation that is providing information. If the presenter provides something that someone needs or wants, then that very presentation is called providing information presentation, because in this the presenter gives that information to the audience and make those facts and figures available to them. So that is providing information. The second type of oral presentation is teaching a skill. In this we see that when it comes to the practical instructions or teaching learners a new skill with the visual or live demos, teacher or the instructor can make his lesson better, because with the help of these live demos it becomes very easy for the students to attain that very skill. The third type of presentation is reporting progress. In this type of report, we see that presenter explains and provides details that how far they move towards completion of the project or achieving their goals, how close they are to achieve their goals. So this type of presentation basically outlines the activities they are doing and the tasks they have completed. Another type of oral presentation is selling a product or service. So these are the two types which are being offered by the people. So in this type of presentations, either the presenter is selling a product or he is selling the services, selling his own or his team's expertise. Then we see that another type of oral presentation is making a decision. This very type of presentation is basically used for decision making, and in the end the presenter reached a decision, and that is the end of this very presentation. The last type of oral presentation which we are discussing in this lecture is solving a problem, presentation that is solving a problem. In this type, we see that presenter first of all presents or defines a problem, then he finds out the causes of that problem. After that, he identifies the alternatives for a solution, and in the end we see that they implement that very solution to that problem, and in this way they resolve the issue. These last two types are very close, because in the second last type the presenter is trying to make a decision, and in the last type the presenter is trying to solve a problem. So these are the six basic types of oral presentations. Now we will look at the different techniques and methods of reporting these very presentations. So basically there are four methods of presenting a speech. These methods are also called as styles of reporting, oral reporting. So the first type of oral reporting is manuscript. This is the type of speech in which we see that a speaker is reading each and every word from a pre-written speech. So the stuff is there in front of him and he is just reading that very manuscript. The second type of oral reporting is memorized reporting. In this type of presentation, we see that the reporter or the presenter, he first of all memorized that information and then he presents that information in front of the audience. But he is not using any type of notes or flashcards. All the material that he is presenting is through his memory. The third technique of oral reporting is extemporaneous presentation. In this type of presentation, we see that the presenter has carefully prepared the material for his presentation, but he hasn't memorized these very things. Instead of that, he just lists down or note down the keywords or key points of that discussion or that presentation that triggers the next thought in the mind of presenter. So that very type of presentation, which is well prepared but not memorized, is called extemporaneous presentation. And the last method of oral presentation or oral reporting is impromptu speaking. This is the type of speaking in which the person or the presenter delivers without predetermination or preparation. He is not prepared. On the spot, he starts that very reporting, and for that topic or that subject or for that stuff, he hasn't prepared anything. So there is no pre-planning, there is no pre-written material or notes, or he hasn't memorized anything for that very situation. All the things they are being decided on the spot. So these are the four methods of oral reporting. Now we will look at the characteristics of a good oral presentation. Basically, oral presentation is an oral communication. So as we already discussed in the other lectures of communication skill, a good oral communication has the following characteristics. The first characteristic of a good oral presentation is that it is a pre-planned and a prepared stuff. It is organized and arranged. All things are set before presenting to the audience, and we see that when the presenter starts delivering that very material, he is ready for that. Second important characteristic of oral presentation is that it must be concise. If the presenter is following the principles of terseness, brevity or shortness, then it will be very easy for the audience to understand these very concepts. Another important feature of good oral presentation is that it should be attractive. If the presenter is using eye-catching and striking material in his presentation, then the audience will get attracted towards that very concepts which he is presenting. One another important aspect of an oral presentation is that the presenter should use clear pronunciation, but he should go with his natural voice. Instead of using artificial style, he should stick to his own natural voice. And now we will look at another important feature, that is that presenter should proofread his presentation, and he should make it free from errors. That will have very good impact on the audience of that presentation. One another important point is that the presenter should have care for the receivers. If he is having a consideration for the receiver, or if he is having inclination towards the issues of the receiver or the audience, then that presentation will become a good presentation. Last and the most important feature of a good oral presentation is that it should maintain neutrality. If the presenter is maintaining impartiality and he is unbiased, and totally objective about the subject which he is presenting, then the presentation will be a good presentation. Now we will look at the structure of oral presentations. Like many other bodies, oral presentations also have structures, and we see that the most common structure of oral presentation is that it has an introduction, then we have the body of the whole discussion, and in the end we see a conclusion. So the structure of an oral presentation is an introduction, body, and the conclusion. In the introduction we see that the presenter prepares the audience what he will talk about in the main body of that lecture or that presentation, and in the end we see that in the conclusion he reminds or reviews or recapitulates all the key points of that discussion, but the main discussion will be in the body of that lecture. Now we will look at the benefits of oral presentation. Basically, oral presentation provides a platform where presenter or where we can combine or amalgamate or mix up the non-verbal cues with effective verbal skills. So that is the important aspect of oral presentation, that it provides that opportunity that we can mix up the verbal and non-verbal skills very effectively, and it will add a broader aspect to the communication of the presenter. Second thing is that it provides an opportunity to the individuals to present their opinions, to present their thoughts and the judgments which they are deducing from different situations and beliefs they are having, and it also allows them to present their feelings and to present their views. But this very presentation is not the simple presentation. We see that in this presentation the presenter is presenting his thoughts and views very confidently in front of live audience. So that is the speciality, that it provides that platform where the presenter lively performs his actions. So the other benefits of oral presentation is that it provides time-saving solution for the presenters, and the most important thing is that these presentations have a very quick feedback, and you can very easily evaluate the outcomes of this presentation. So it is basically a powerful mean of persuading and controlling the ideas of the people, because you directly have an opportunity to influence the audience, to implement your point of view, to present your point of view to them, and in this way you can very strongly argue your opinions to the audience. So in this way you control and manage their ideas. So in one way you have the command to guide their ideas, to guide their thoughts. As I told you in the beginning, that it is a technique which is very time saving. In the same way it saves money, because when you are presenting your ideas orally, you do not need expensive items and commodities to influence. And the most important thing is that this very method is a more reliable method, because the presenter is standing in front of the audience and they are directly listening from him. So it builds that confidence level and trust level in the audience. So it is more reliable than any other type of presentation. But the presenter should have the capability of flexibility, because if he remains stiff and he does not change his strategies, he will be a failed presenter. So if he has a flexible strategy, he can very easily control and command the situation. The last benefit, and it is also the objective of any presentation, that in oral presentation we have complete understanding, because in oral presentations we have quick feedbacks, and if there is incomplete understanding, they can ask questions in the end or within the conversation, and in this way they get the complete understanding of that very topic. So these are the benefits of oral presentation. Now we will look at some of the clues towards effective or good presentation. Basically, effective presentations make best use of the relationship between the sender and the receiver, or between the presenter and the audience. So in a good presentation, presenter, he takes care of the audience needs, of the audience demands and the requirements, what they are desiring and what are the wishes of the audience. He is very much connected to them, and in order to fulfill that very thing, first of all he captures their interest. The most important thing is that he gets their attention and initiate that curiosity, that they start connecting to him, and in this way he develops their understanding. And the second thing is that he motivates them and he inspires their confidence. And the last thing is that when he get their attention and develop the understanding in them and inspire their confidence, we see that in the end he achieves his objectives. So these are the steps. If the presenter is following these steps, he can very easily attain or achieve his objectives. Other important things of a good presentation are that these presentations are memorable. We see that these presentations are the one, if you ask the audience about that presentation, you will see that they can remember much of that stuff or the material which the presenter has conveyed to them. He has all that information in their mind. If they are having that information in their mind, it means that you have presented a good oral presentation. So great presentations are always motivating, and these presentations have one another quality, that they raise questions in the minds of the listeners or the audience who are sitting there. If you want to make such type of presentations, you should include graphics, images, and the most important thing is that you should include facts and figures. You should include that data and information that is valid. In that way, it will be very easy for them to remember the things which you are conveying to them. If you are using these techniques, you are using audio visual aids in your presentation, and you are supporting all these things with facts and figures, then I guarantee you that it will be a memorable presentation, and they will remember this presentation even you ask them after many weeks. So that is the whole discussion in today's lecture. We have studied definition of oral presentation, then I told you about the main purpose of oral presentations. We also discuss the types and the way we can report orally. After that, we studied the structure of oral presentation, and in the end we studied the characteristics, benefits and traits of effective communication. So that is all about today's lecture. So thank you very much for listening passionately, and see you in the next lecture. Thank you very much.